Today is a recap to inspire you to do more travel in 2026. If you're new to Inspired Travels with Patti, I'm Patti Hunt, and I created this channel to inspire you to live life more fully. For me, that is about travel, and that's the way that I feel inspired. Now, don't worry, because I don't see travel as just those trips that are across the country or around the world. For me, travel is also about just visiting places in your local area. So whether that is a local park or other places in your own neighborhood, that is what I'm calling travel. And that's what I'm looking to inspire you to think about doing. Now, this year has been a busy year. I was the host of the RV Life podcast for almost 3 years, 2.5 years, and that ended in the summer. And I just started to think, am I done with podcasting or do I want to continue? And I decided that I wanted to continue because I want to inspire you to go out and live life more fully. So in September, I started this podcast, and I have done a number of episodes since then. And I just wanted to take a little bit of time and do a recap that I hope will help you in planning your travels for 2026. This channel is about travel, no matter how far away or how close to home, and no matter what kind of travel you are looking to do. So some of the podcast episodes, I talked to a woman who traveled not only with her husband and her dog and another couple on a sailboat for 6 months. So that is something that I never would have thought of. 6 months on a sailboat. She gave a lot of great information about what it was like, the fun stuff, the good stuff, the exciting stuff, and the scary stuff while being on a sailboat for 6 months, going from New York down to the Bahamas. So not just sitting out in the ocean. That was a really cool episode. I also talked to a lot of people who talked about their travel. So these were content creators that have been traveling across the country for several years, and they shared some of their hidden gems. And I did 2 episodes because there were so many of them that wanted to share their hidden gems. There are 2 full episodes on that to give you some tips on those cool places across the country that not a lot of people think about. Speaking of hidden gems, I did an episode with a gentleman who's from Nashville, Tennessee, and he talked about what the locals do, where the locals go, and that was a great episode that he shared a lot of cool places. I also talked to people, a gentleman who travels with his son who is on the spectrum. He's been traveling with his son since his son is young. He has been able to take him not only to almost every state in the country, but has also traveled with him internationally. And he talked about some of the things that you could do when traveling with kids with special needs. Some of these suggestions will help if you're traveling with kids. Very great episode. And it was just touching to hear about the things that this gentleman was able to do with his son and is continuing to do it with his son. Talking about traveling with kids, for any of you that have kids, you know that that can be challenging. I had a woman on, and there was an episode where she not only travels solo with her kids, but takes them internationally. And she told some amazing stories, gave great tips. And the funniest story she told was about how to lose your kid and find them when you're in a foreign country. So that was humorous, and there were a lot of good tips in that episode. I also talked to a couple who travels full time in their RV. They shared things about picking an RV and budgeting and homeschooling and a lot of the questions that people have around RVing. That episode, I think, was chock full of information, but to be honest, it probably needs a part two because anybody looking to go full time in an RV is going to have more questions that we just didn't have the time yet to cover. So that'll be a 2026 episode of more information. Now, for those of you who know my backstory, like I said, traveled in an RV full time for 3 years with my husband. A year and a half ago, we needed to come off the road, and my husband has since had to go into a nursing home. And so for me, it is a lot about traveling solo. And some of the things that I'm thinking about doing is, I thought about, do I get an RV? Do I rent one? Do I buy one? Do I even want to RV? Right now, I am in a house and I do not have an RV, but I've spent a lot of time in campgrounds and I love spending time in campgrounds. And I did an episode on comparing a campground to staying in a hotel. And for those of you who have never RV'd, I want to suggest you listen to that episode on the advantages of staying in a campground. Now, you do not need an RV and you don't need to tent camp. A lot of campgrounds have cabins or yurts you could stay in. They do RV rentals. Some of them have tiny homes. I believe the campground experience, the activities, the events that they do, the amenities that they have make staying in a campground often a lot more fun and exciting than just being in a hotel. That was a great episode. And again, I could probably add more to the beauty of staying in a hotel. I also had a woman on who spoke about service-based travel. And she is a co-founder of an organization that it's called Traveling with a Purpose, and they do just that, service-based travel. A lot of service-based travels. A lot of their travel is to Jamaica. That is where they provide service. We did the episode just after Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica. So she not only talked about service-based travel, but also how you can possibly help people in Jamaica. They are going to do a service-based trip sometime in 2026. So if that's something of interest to you, you could check out that episode and her information of how you could connect with her to find out more about service-based travel. I talked to someone who, Dan Dominski of RVTV. So if you are an RVer, you're thinking about being an RVer, it's somewhere in the back of your head or you're really considering it. RVTV is a great network. So this is a network of 24/7 programming all about RVing. RV tips, RV tricks, maintenance, travel, hidden gems, campgrounds, anything you could think of is part of the content on RVTV. And that was a great episode with Dan Dominski, who gave a lot of information about the content that they provide. Last week's episode, probably one of my favorite because it is something that I'm very passionate about. As I end one year, I do a lot of self-reflection. I look back at the year, I look at the ups, the downs, the challenges, the great times, and just do a lot of reflection because that helps me to make the following year better. I had the opportunity to have Joe Fear of Hustle and Flowchart, and he has a podcast that's in the top 1% of all podcasts globally. And I was honored that he took time out to be on the podcast and offer you tips on how to look at 2025 to make 2026 a better year, to step into 2026 with clarity and more confidence and just make it better than 2025 was. And I think every year we can do those kinds of things. I know I do that, and I think it's really beneficial and important. So that's what 2025 looked like. That's some of the episodes that I put out, I am looking to hear from you on topics that you would like to hear. I am really open to hear your suggestions for topics. If you are interested in being a guest, please reach out. I am backed up, honestly, with guests right now, but I will put you on my list. And, when the time comes up, I'm absolutely always open to hearing from somebody who wants to be a guest. So please reach out. You can reach out to me at Inspire Travels with Patti on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Private message me, put a message in, one of the posts. If I don't get back to you, send me another message. Sometimes messages get missed because I do get a lot of them. Also in 2026, going to talk about more of my travel. I have been traveling in 2025. I've traveled by plane. I have stayed in campgrounds. I have done long trips in a car, different types of travel. As we go into 2026, I will be traveling for business, which I also make fun. And I'm looking to travel by ways that I've never traveled before, like on a train. I'd love to do some travel by boat, sailboat maybe. Not 6 months on a sailboat, I don't think, but different types of travel is what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have new and different experiences, and I'm going to bring those experiences to you. I'm also going to provide some products and services that I love that has helped me with travel. I'm going to be at events. So in September, I go to the Hershey event. In just a couple of weeks from this podcast episode, I will be in Tampa for the Florida RV Super Show. I have been to these events for 4 years, and there will be more events. To see the events that I'll be at, again, you could go to my social media. I will post on there about events and things that are coming up, meetups, all those types of things. I have something big for 2026 that I am looking forward to that I can't share yet. Hopefully, I will be able to share that in the coming episodes. I will also share on social media. These are just some of the things from 2025 and some of the things I have planned for 2026. I'm really excited about 2026. I'm excited to have you come along with me on the journey. And please, like I said, reach out. I would love to hear suggestions from you. Thank you, my listeners, for being here with me, for listening, for sending comments, all of the things that you do. And for those of you who haven't yet, if you're looking to support me, you could do that by just following. So whether you're on a podcast platform like Apple or Spotify or any of your favorite podcast platforms, hitting that follow button is very helpful. You could also see the podcast on YouTube. If you go there, please subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. That's all very helpful. As we wrap up 2025, I want to leave you with this one last thought. Travel isn't just about where you go. It's about how you live, and I encourage you to live life to the fullest every day.